Amelia never expected to fall in love at 62. After losing her husband of 40 years to cancer, she thought her days of romance were behind her. But fate had other plans. It started on a crisp autumn morning at the local community garden. Amelia was tending to her prized tomatoes when she noticed an unfamiliar face a few plots over. A tall, distinguished-looking man with salt and pepper hair was struggling to dig up some stubborn weeds. "Need a hand?" Amelia called out, unable to resist helping a fellow gardener in distress. The man looked up, wiping sweat from his brow. "I'd be eternally grateful," he replied with a warm smile. As Amelia made her way over, she took in his kind brown eyes and the laugh lines etched around them. There was something immediately comforting about his presence. "I'm Amelia," she said, extending her hand. "Charles," he replied, his grip firm but gentle. "I'm afraid I'm a bit out of my depth here. My daughters signed me up for this plot, insisting I needed a hobby now that I'm retired." Amelia chuckled. "Well, you've come to the right place. I'd be happy to show you the ropes." Over the next few weeks, Amelia and Charles fell into an easy rhythm. She taught him the basics of gardening, how to prepare the soil, when to water, which plants thrived in sun versus shade. Charles was an eager student, soaking up her knowledge like a sponge. In turn, he regaled her with stories from his years as a high school history teacher. Amelia found herself captivated by his passion for the subject, the way his eyes lit up as he described ancient civilizations and pivotal moments that shaped the world. As autumn faded into winter, they began meeting for coffee after their gardening sessions. Amelia looked forward to these chats more than she cared to admit. There was something about Charles that made her feel truly seen and heard for the first time in years. One snowy afternoon in December, as they huddled in a cozy corner of the local cafe, Charles reached across the table and took Amelia's hand. "I hope this isn't too forward," he said softly. "But I find myself thinking about you even when we're apart. Would you like to have dinner with me sometime? As more than just gardening buddies?" Amelia's heart raced. She hadn't been on a proper date in over 4 decades. The idea was both thrilling and terrifying. But as she looked into Charles's warm, hopeful eyes, she knew her answer. "I'd love to," she replied, squeezing his hand. Their first date was at a quaint Italian restaurant downtown. Amelia fretted for hours over what to wear, finally settling on a deep blue dress that brought out her eyes. When Charles arrived to pick her up, his jaw dropped. "You look absolutely stunning," he said, presenting her with a bouquet of tulips, her favorite flower she'd once mentioned offhand. Over candlelight and wine, they shared stories of their lives, the joys, the sorrows, the roads not taken. Amelia spoke of her late husband, John, the wonderful father he'd been to their 2 children. Charles opened up about his divorce 15 years prior, how it had shaken his faith in love. As the evening drew to a close, Charles walked Amelia to her door. There was a moment of charged silence, both unsure how to end the night. Finally, Charles leaned in and placed a soft, chaste kiss on her cheek. "Thank you for a lovely evening," he murmured. Amelia's skin tingled where his lips had touched. "The pleasure was all mine," she replied. From that night on, Amelia and Charles were inseparable. They explored art museums, attended community theater productions, and took long walks in the park. Charles even convinced Amelia to try ballroom dancing, something she'd always wanted to learn but never had the courage to attempt. Their children were supportive, if a bit surprised at first. Amelia's daughter, Sarah, remarked that she hadn't seen her mother so happy in years. Charles's son, Michael, joked that his dad was acting like a lovesick teenager. As spring returned to the community garden, Amelia and Charles worked side by side, planting new seeds and nurturing them with care. It struck Amelia how fitting a metaphor it was for their blossoming relationship. Tender, full of potential, requiring patience and dedication to flourish. On a warm evening in June, Charles surprised Amelia with a picnic in the garden. He'd prepared all her favorites: cucumber sandwiches, fresh strawberries, and lemon tarts. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in brilliant hues of pink and orange, Charles took Amelia's hand. "Amelia," he began, his voice thick with emotion, "these past months with you have been the happiest of my life. You've shown me that it's never too late for new beginnings, for second chances at love. I know we haven't known each other terribly long, but when you get to our age, you learn not to waste time." Amelia's heart pounded as Charles reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. "I love you, Amelia. Would you do me the extraordinary honor of becoming my wife?" Tears sprang to Amelia's eyes as Charles opened the box to reveal a delicate vintage ring, a small diamond flanked by 2 sapphires. "Oh, Charles," she breathed. "Yes, 1,000 times yes." Their wedding was an intimate affair, held in the community garden where their love story began. Amelia wore a simple cream-colored dress and carried a bouquet of flowers from their shared plot. Charles beamed with pride as he watched his bride walk down the aisle, flanked by her children. As they exchanged vows, promising to cherish each other for whatever time they had left, there wasn't a dry eye among their gathered loved ones. Amelia's granddaughter later remarked that she'd never seen a couple look at each other with such adoration. The newlyweds honeymooned in Paris, a city neither had visited before. They strolled hand in hand along the Seine, marveled at the Eiffel Tower, and indulged in decadent French cuisine. In the evenings, they slow danced in their hotel room, lost in each other's arms. Upon returning home, Amelia and Charles faced the challenge of merging their lives. They decided to sell both their houses and buy a cozy cottage with a sprawling backyard, plenty of room for an extensive garden. The process of downsizing and combining households was sometimes stressful, but they tackled it as a team. Their first year of marriage brought both joys and obstacles. They had to navigate different sleep schedules, household habits, and ways of handling conflict. But their commitment to open communication and mutual respect saw them through the bumps. They also had to confront the realities of aging together. Charles developed arthritis in his hands, making it difficult for him to pursue his newfound love of gardening. Amelia's eyesight began to deteriorate, requiring her to get stronger glasses. But they supported each other through every doctor's appointment and adapted as needed. As their second anniversary approached, Amelia and Charles decided to renew their vows. This time, they invited a larger circle of friends and family to celebrate with them. The ceremony was held in their backyard, surrounded by the vibrant flowers and vegetables they'd nurtured together. Amelia's voice shook with emotion as she recited her vows. "Charles, loving you has been the greatest adventure of my life. You've shown me that the heart never grows too old for romance, for butterflies, for the giddy joy of new love. I cherish every moment we've shared and look forward to many more years by your side." Charles's eyes glistened as he responded, "Amelia, my darling, you are the unexpected miracle of my golden years. Your kindness, your wisdom, your zest for life inspire me daily. I am a better man for loving you. I promise to continue learning and growing with you, to face whatever challenges lie ahead as your partner and best friend." As they sealed their renewed commitment with a kiss, their assembled loved ones erupted in cheers and applause. The celebration that followed was joyous, filled with laughter, dancing, and heartfelt toasts to the happy couple. In the years that followed, Amelia and Charles continued to build a beautiful life together. They became active in their community, volunteering at the local senior center and mentoring young couples. They traveled when they could, checking items off their shared bucket list. They faced health scares and the loss of dear friends, leaning on each other for support through the difficult times. But they also celebrated countless small joys. The first ripe tomato of the season, lazy Sunday mornings doing crossword puzzles in bed, impromptu living room dance parties. As they entered their twilight years, their love only seemed to deepen. They still held hands everywhere they went, still stole kisses when they thought no one was looking. Their children marveled at the example they set, showing that true partnership knows no age limit. On their 10th wedding anniversary, Charles surprised Amelia with a trip back to Paris. Though they moved a bit slower now, leaning on canes for support, the City of Light was just as magical as they remembered. One evening, as they sat on a bench overlooking the Seine, Amelia rested her head on Charles's shoulder. "Thank you," she said softly. "For what, my love?" Charles asked, pressing a kiss to her silver hair. "For taking a chance on love with me. For giving me a second spring when I thought my winter had come." Charles's arm tightened around her. "Oh, Amelia, loving you has been the greatest privilege of my life. Thank you for showing me that it's never too late for happily ever after." As the sun set over Paris, painting the sky in brilliant hues of pink and gold, Amelia and Charles sat in contented silence. They had found in each other a true partner for the journey, someone to share life's joys and sorrows, to grow with, to love unconditionally. Their story was a testament to the enduring power of love, proving that the heart never grows too old for romance. Amelia and Charles had discovered that sometimes the most beautiful chapters of life are written in its later pages. As twilight deepened into night, they made their way back to their hotel, walking arm in arm. Tomorrow would bring new adventures, new challenges to face together. But for now, they were content in the knowledge that they had found in each other a love worth waiting a lifetime for.